Are there any like teasers that you can give us for the next season about any more sort of the character of Vic's background?
Yeah. Oh man, I would love to. The director Tamar Levine and I spend so much time thinking and talking about this in the off season. It really is just makes the interviews easier because then it is something. Anytime you have perspective on anything, it's like it's easier to continue moving forward with a conversation, especially when it's improvised. From last season, the host character, from my perspective at least, is a character that thought that they were too good to be in this situation, but we're doing it with like aspirations of being somewhere else. And then in the off season, in real life, we won a People's Choice Webby Award, and so we've decided to pull that through this season, being that now all of a sudden this host character has a little bit of this validation that they're craving, and so now this place that they do not want to be has given them this thing that they want, and so they are trapped doubling down on this show that they don't want to be at. So that they still have these bigger, greater aspirations of getting out. And this season, they have an interview. There is a chance that they are going to be working on a bigger show. So it's sort of grappling with that and making all of the other characters deal with that reality.
So a real arc for your character this season.
Yeah. It's really nice just because I mean, like I work with the most talented, generous improvisers in the world, and so like the fact that like they're playing right back with me into my character is, I mean, it's a dream. It's an absolute dream.
And I mean, you've almost answered it in a way, but for me at least, certainly very important people has become quickly alongside sort of Game Changer, Dimension 20, like one of the big shows of Dropout, almost like the face of the platform in very quickly, right at the end of only its first season. I just want sort of your perspective on why you think it's become so popular so quickly.
Oh man. Oh, and that's a really kind question. I really appreciate that. I think we the whole creative team has put a lot of thought into this being a it's an improv show first and foremost, and we work really hard on showcasing individual comedians' voices. I mean, it doesn't hurt that we have like people, our makeup team, head by Alex Perone, is she works on Star Wars movies, you know what I mean? So it doesn't hurt that it like visually is very cool and very and pops a lot. But I like to think and I hope that people are receptive to the fact that like we're really showcasing just these like incredible improvisers, very specific voices. I think one of the things that made me happiest this season was like going through threads and people asking what people's favorite episodes were, and there was like so many different answers, which is great and like spoke to what we were like looking to do with this show, which was again, yeah, like showcase individual comedians. And I like that it resonated with a lot of different people. So if you didn't like one episode, that's great. Maybe there's another one that'll speak more to you. So yeah, I just feel very grateful all around to be working on such a collaborative team that was like able to showcase people hopefully in the way that they wanted to be showcased.
Yeah, I think that effort and that love really shines through it. And I can say on my end, I was at London Comic Con this weekend and I did see a Princess Emily cosplay. I didn't
Oh,
get
I
it.
think I saw that on Instagram.
Yes, it's probably the same.
I It is so, I mean, just like truly, it's so crazy to me having this thing that exists online. And like I started doing this during like the lockdown of COVID here in the States. I don't know what it looked like. I'm assuming you're in the UK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, much the
Uh
same.
Yeah, it just was like, and so like I literally was not seeing anybody. Like we're still a mask, we still wear masks in the studio, but it's like at the time especially it was like, we were doing like multiple COVID tests in order just to get your COVID test on set to show up. So it was like it was so devoid from any kind of the audience or the people that were seeing it, and especially with VIP, like we put it out with this idea that like we all really loved it, but it was so different from other things that were on the network. We didn't know how other people were going to like it being like a long form improv show with just two people, with me who was fairly new to the platform. Like we just like really, I'm so grateful that Dropout took the gamble. But I'm just like now hearing that people at London Comic Con are dressing up like a character from the show is, it truly is so surreal. And so thank you for telling me that. I really yeah, I'm just like so grateful. Are you a D20 fan? Do you watch D20 stuff?
Yes, absolutely. We actually recently interviewed the D20 guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it just is unreal. I mean, like in the same to even be like mentioned in the same breath as them is pretty unbelievable. I work back and forth between here and Vancouver a lot, and so like I binged seasons and seasons of that show because it's all my friends, and so I just like I listen to it like a podcast, and it's just like listening to my friends talk, and there's so much of it. It just has been like so lovely. It's just been so lovely. So yeah, to be mentioned in the same sentence as them as a a notable show on the platform really means the world.
Yeah, well deserved. So I think the next question, would you, if you had to like flip the script and have you be one of the guests being interviewed, I guess by yourself in a sort of meta way, being one of the guests, how hard would you want the costume for that to go? What kind, how would you approach it? Would you ever be interested in something like that?
No, absolutely not. I would want to be myself. I like when it comes to improv, I love voice of reason stuff. Like I really like my position because I also think in improv there's a couple different ways scenes can go. There's a weird world scene where the world is weird and then you're living in the weird world. So it's like, ketchup is currency, and in the scene we are two people who pay for things using ketchup. And then there's peas in a pod where the world uses money, but me and the other person in the scene are trying to use ketchup to buy things, and that's a weird world. And then it's like the most traditional thing, and I think what people know, which is what we do on this show, is like you are trying to use ketchup to buy something. You're the unusual person. I live in the real world where we all use money, and I'm trying to grapple with the reality that you're trying to use ketchup to buy things. That's largely what we do on this show. Sometimes we get into some of the other things, but on the whole, like I like that. I like being that person trying to grapple with the reality of like the unusual person and the things that they're throwing at us. That being said, if I am told my family is at risk and also they're paying me $5 million and I'm going to be a character, what character would I be? I think I would like to be an inanimate object. I think that would be fun, being a window, a piece of the set, maybe. Maybe or I think I'd want to be big costume. I think that would be fun. Something that's like totally covered, something totally transformative. Because I think if it looks close to me, I will just be myself. I'll just be myself with like a little bit of a kookier voice or something like that. Would you do one? What would you be?
Oh, I'm not an improviser. I'm so bad at
But if you had to
improv.
be, your family's in peril. They're offering you $5
My
million.
family's in peril. Okay. At the most like heavy makeup or like prosthetics that they can put me in, so I can just so unrecognizable I'd want to be, I think.
So like a toad, maybe like a toad.
Yeah, maybe like a toad, or sort of the similar to what Iffy had with the alien, that sort of thing.
Alien.
Definitely, yeah.
We got Paul F. Tompkins this season, who is I won't say what his character name is, but he looks like a slug. And that one is truly just a wonderful episode. And I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you because it's easier to be yourself. Like it's okay if your voice is a little bit similar as long as you're totally covered. At least is the way I think about it. And it's sounding like you're going a similar route to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
Oh,
one final
and we're
question.
gonna hit you up for season two.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll leave my
You
email.
you just agreed to it, so please do.
Binding, legally binding. Okay, so one final question. I mean, you sort of answered this in bits and pieces. I guess what is the sort of headspace, what to the difference between the sort of headspace, the mindset you have to be versus getting onto very important people versus going for something like Game Changer or Make Some Noise, which both also have like improv elements to them. What's the kind of difference in headspace and prep for you there?
Oh, a great question. I think I think there is a misconception with improv that you just sort of go into it and you don't have to prepare at all, and that it's sort of like maybe not a lazy art form, but an art form that you just sort of can like wing it and do whatever. And I actually completely disagree with that. I think with improv in general, it is years and years of like building a tool belt of things and failing a lot and going, and once you failed in a situation, going, how could I have done something to make that scene better? And then once you figure out what you could have done, you go, okay, anytime I'm in a scene like that, I can pull out this like this tool that I have in my tool belt. So I think it really is sort of like when I'm going into like a game changers, I view that a little bit more as like there's absolutely no way to know what's going on. There's no way to prepare. I don't even know if it's going to be improv. Sometimes it's just going to be a prank show and a body's going to fall from the ceiling, and I just have to sort of grapple with that as a human being. Whereas with VIP, even though it is an improv show and there's no way to really know how a scene is going to go. Like I'm prepping on stage. I'm performing a lot in small, like in two prov groups. I'm watching a ton of interviews. I am coming and performing with some of the best improv talent in the world, some of the funniest people that I know. And I want to make sure that I am putting my best foot forward because they really don't know what they're coming into. So I am doing my best to make sure that I am as on top of it as possible. So that way, uh, I am supporting them as much as I humanly possibly can. And the whole creative team is doing the exact same thing. I feel so grateful to be a part of a team that's really there to support the performers and each other.
Oh, well, what a lovely note to end on, Vic. Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you so much. This was lovely. I so appreciate you taking the time today.